Hi guys, I'm back today with a video on a palette that when I originally saw, I was so, you guys are going to see the color story and you're going to be like, of course you were so immediately enamored with it. And I was. I saw it, I was just like, the heavens opened up and butterflies were chirping, birds were singing, and pretty much it was a great day. And the palette that I'm speaking of is Made by Mitchell, Feet on the Ground. Now, it is huge, like, it's huge. Like, I cannot, like, get it into frame probably, like, without doing this, seriously. As you can see, it does have a really interesting army print to it, which is, this is very reminiscent of my childhood. Army print was, like, super, really popular when I was young, and now it's come back around. My mom was right. When I was a kid, she used to tell me that, all fashions come back into style, and I thought she was crazy. For instance, I used to wear bell bottoms constantly, like, would not wear anything but, like, hip huggers and bell bottoms. Originally, it started with Jinkos, because I was obsessed with Jinkos, and then I went from there, this huge wide leg pants, straight to bell bottoms, and that was just the product of the 2000s, the 90s to the 2000s. And then now, I can't wear anything but straight legs, and it's so funny. I used to give my mom the hardest time ever for wearing straight leg pants, and now here I am. In any case, leaving fashion to the side for the second, because we are talking about makeup, the palette itself came in this bag. I mean, some people probably get a lot of use out of it. For me, it's not, like, it's almost too, like, flimsy to be, like, anything that I'd want to carry my makeup in, personally. Like, I'd be afraid to take this to travel, in reality. I like stuff with a little bit more shape. Not that I travel, so I don't know why I'm even considering it. You guys probably know much better than me. But this is a nice bonus. Personally, I would have liked to have paid slightly less and not had this. That's just my opinion. Also, in regards to price, the price that I paid was about $53 USD, because I'm in the United States, and then the shipping was an additional, like, $19, which personally, to me, is salty. Typically, I've paid about $14 for shipping, so I thought, that extra money was just a little too much, but that is besides the point. However, for that $53, I've got to say that you get a lot of shades in this palette. So, if I add those two costs together, I paid somewhere in the $70 range, which is a lot of money for a palette. Now, there are 25 shades in this palette. This is what the inside looks like, and I'm going to go ahead and try and bend it over here. This is what the inside looks like. Even with the price of like 73 bucks, that makes these shadows about, and that's including the shipping, makes these shades about $3 a piece, and that's still really, really good. Now, if you are not interested in all these shadows, that price may not be so good for you. Now, for me personally, I happen to like the majority of these shadows. I think there's only, no, and even the shadows that I wouldn't necessarily use on its own, I could see being paired with something else and I'd really like it. So for me, I'm going to get use out of every single shade in this. I am really happy with the color story. You guys know, if you've watched this channel at all, that I am obsessed with green eyeshadows. And not just green, but I love yellow. I love, like, grungy colors. I love, like, dirty yellows. I love, like, rusty oranges, that kind of stuff. So for me, this pretty much embodies everything I want. The other thing that's nice about it is, if you look in, like, this top 6 right here, you're also getting another color story, and you can add to it with this purple, and, then you can take it a different direction with this pop of coral. Well, not quite coral. It's like a really bright orange that's coming off kind of pinkish. So maybe like a bright salmon, we'll call it that. But for me, I'm really excited to do a look with these shadows as well, because I really like pinks and purples. So that's also of interest to me. And right now I'm rocking a look I really am comfortable in. I love green eyeshadows. I could wear them every day and never get sick of them. So this is what the inside looks like. There is one thing I want to note about this palette, and that is that it's got a really strong, like, paint chemically smell. I don't know if it's the shades itself, which is concerning to me, or if it's the palette. I'm hoping it's the palette, but I can say this, when I was applying the eyeshadow, I could still smell it. So that was, I'm a little concerned. I'm not probably going to leave this on for a really long time, because I am very sensitive and I don't want to have any reactions, because I have that happen sometimes. In any case, here is the first look that I have come up with. I'm going to do another look with those shades that I just talked about tomorrow, and then hopefully I will have this video up for you right away. I wanted to have it up sooner, it just didn't happen. So in any case, I will get right back with you tomorrow with more of this and some swatches, and if you want to see how I got those, keep watching. Okay, so before I do the swatches, this is the second look that I did today with this palette. I've got to say, I really like both looks I was able to get with this. I actually used the deep brown and the black, I should say, and I did my liner with that. So anyway, I'm going to swatch these for you, and if you want to see how I got both of these looks, just keep watching after that. Also, I apologize for the bruising I have over here. That's from when I went to the ER last week, so let's just ignore that it's there. The very first shade in the palette is called Salt Bay. This is a really nice creamy white with maybe even a slight bit of yellowy green undertone to it. It's very minute if it is there, but it does look like it does have it. It's called Limeade. And this is a very lime, well, I'm going to try and move my arm so you can see it. It's a very lime yellow shade. And you also get some like silvery blue particles of glitter within it as well. Board in the House. And this is a really nice slate brown shade. Shade is Angelina. And just so you know, both of these two shades, Limeade and Angelina, are kind of like topper formulas rather than outright metallics or foiled shades. And this is a silver tone pink that has a bit of blue sparkles within it. Shade in the first row is called Bless You. And this is like a slightly green and blue toned white topper shade. Having a really hard time picking up these topper shades on the camera. Shade in the next row is called Our Kid. And that is a vibrant yellow. Next shade is Chameleon. Swatched out, it just looks like a light green kind of olive shade. But on the eye, it came off almost like blue-green, and hopefully you'll see that. Next shade is called Tulip. And this is just a really nice berry tone. Shade is called Ground. And this is a really pretty pinky nude shade. Next shade is called Breaking. And this is a lighter kind of gray toned pinky nude shade. The first shade of the next row is Mama's Garden. It has that kind of topper feel, but it is more foiled and opaque. And it is a really bright green kind of shiny shade with a little bit of silver particles in it again. Silvery pink maybe. It's called Earthchild. And this is just a really nice kind of gray toned green shade. This is the shade Descent. Really, really nice kind of mid-tone gray shade. It is Tiger Lily. I'm gonna call this like a hot orange coral. Last shade in that row is Clay Baby. And this is a really nice goldenrod mustardy yellow shade. For the fourth row, the first shade is called A Mood. And this is a mid-tone purple, mid to deep depending how far you darken it. It is Bittersweet. And this is very similar to Limeade, but in matte form. That lime neon green shade. Off-Roading. A reddish brown, deeper than rust. This shade is called Fool's Gold. And it is slightly more than the topper shades. It's a green gold. It's pulling more gold just on the camera right now though. The shade Venom. This is a true teal color. The last row is called Ammo. And this is just a nice black shade. Next shade is called Grass. And this is a beautiful, almost like deep based green metallic shade. I like this formulation the best in the palette. This color is called Ain't. And I'm going to call this a Kermit the Frog green. Next shade is called Greener. And this is kind of a yellowy green. And the last shadow in the palette is called Chemtrail. And this is more of a neon yellow than the other shade called Orchid. Okay, I'm back. I have my eyeliner on, I have my mascara on. I have done 2 eye looks with this palette. I could easily get many, many more. A variety of different combinations. Truly, this palette is really versatile. I think that there is a lot of things that you can get out of it. So, here are all of my thoughts. First being, the mattes in here are gorgeous. They work really nicely. There was 1 or 2 shades that I kind of felt like, with the Natasha Denona shades, built up a ledge of color. Now, as long as I added a deeper color over that, that kind of went away, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. But that is, you know, maybe if you're trying to keep it like a lighter kind of wash of color, you may not like that. But as far as I could tell, they did work nicely. Now, please keep in mind that there are a lot of shades in here that are considered pigments, so they're technically not eye safe. Now, I will say this, and you can try it at your own discretion. My eyes are extremely sensitive, and for the most part, I've not had any issues. Now, I will say this eye is irritated from wearing makeup yesterday, but I don't know if it's because when I was taking off makeup, I think maybe I rubbed it raw and I irritated it. I don't necessarily think it was the makeup, because the other eye would have done the same. So just keep that in mind. If you have sensitive eyes, maybe be careful with the pigments, but as far as I can tell, I've not had any real issues with them. Other thing I will say is some of the other shadow formulations. Like, I like the ones that are more foiled, but then there's a bunch of like those eyeshadow topper shades or whatever, and they're nice. They work really well. That's what I've actually got right here, is one of those topper shades, and I like the way it comes out, but you guys know me, I really like a foiled finish, and so I guess that's one thing I could say is I would like to see in the future more shades that are truly foiled from him. Other than that, I think that this is a really nice palette. I think that if you don't have these colors, or if you're interested in these colors, it is definitely worth the buy. It is extremely expensive if you don't live where these are actually shipped from, in my opinion, at least, because I spent about $73 with the palette and shipping, which is not cheap. However, when you do the math, that's not bad per shadow, and if you're going to use the majority of these shadows, then I think it's still a pretty solid deal. So for me, I really like this. I'd like to see the inclusion of more foiled shadows in the future, but this is a new brand. I've got to say, I'm really impressed with it. I cannot wait to see what else he releases. It seems like he's got a really good feel for color stories and diversity, and really putting together something that is interesting and that you can get multiple different color story looks out of that still play nicely. So for me, I think that this was a win. I definitely think if you did not get it, you should pick it up if you are able to do so. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe, and ring the bell for future updates, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.